Okay. Next question was, I got whooped as a kid, but I didn't want to be that way as a parent. So I tried other methods, timeouts, punishment, even listening and reasoning, but none of it worked. The disobedience and disrespect continued to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. So I whooped my kid just like my father did me. Nothing too crazy, but it got my point across. He's 13. And do you know that, this is what the person put on, do you know that the little boy called DCFS on me? Now I'm in trouble. Help me, Doc. Well, first mistake, 13. So that's the first mistake with that. There should have been some discipline. Soon as a child, I don't care if they're 2 or 3. If they start getting out of line, now I'm not saying a whooping is always the answer, but first of all, what made them get out of line like that? Where is that? Where did that type of rebellion come from? Or where did that disrespect come from? You know, so this, obviously 13, this didn't just happen. And that's why obviously she might have saw this, and because she got in her head, and unfortunately and sadly, you have a generation of people who always want to think that their parent, and I'm not saying every parent, whatever, because I understand there's some abusive issues. But getting whooped does not mean abuse. And that doesn't mean that you answer that with every situation. But sometimes it does take that. Not punishment, it's chastisement or correction. Even your Bible says that. You spare the rod, you spoil the child. Now sometimes, like I say, we got a generation of people who, because now there's a name for everything now. Because those of us, 45 years ago who got whooped with a belt is child abuse. If you yell at your spouse, that's spousal abuse. Everything is a name for it now. What's the other one? Sexual harassment. Man, many of us were guilty in the 70s. If just, hey, how you doing? Sexual harassment. Hey, how you doing? Just, hey, how you doing?
I remember when they first brought the DCF into the schools, and they wrote the number on the chalkboard, and I saw it, and I just dared my kids. I wish you would call the number, because I will kill you before you get to the phone.
Not literally.
Not literally, but that is a lot of that's disrespect itself to call.
Yeah.
To say that he touched me.
Yeah.
When you in my house, eating my food, sleeping in my bed, me giving you money to go this and that, and then you got nerve to call somebody on me?
But what has happened in this situation, like I said, I understand that there's abuse going on, and that's nothing new. That's been going on for years and years. And I understand you create certain programs that is that, but you got to be careful. You don't create these things and throw out foundation. And that's what a lot of us have done. You don't create something because you got a problem here and throw out foundation. See, quiet, see,
Yeah.
Okay. And the mistake this person made, first of all, was waiting too long.
I remember I was with one of my relatives, and they had their daughter was what, 2 or 3 years old? She was 2 or 3 years, went to home run in. And we ordered pizza, and she ordered the child chicken nuggets because, the child don't eat a whole pizza, and she didn't feel that she going to get none of the pizza. And then the little girl didn't want the chicken nuggets. And she said, I don't want no chicken nuggets. I want something. And she said, stop. Then the little girl got the plate and threw it on the floor. And he said, she's so crazy.
But let me go. We understand this, but see, the thing about that, I'm pretty sure that's not the first time that happened. See, I always look at kids, if they running wild, loose, like whatever, in public, 9 out of 10 times, they get allowed to do that at home. And then some parents act like, I don't know what's wrong with Johnny. You know what's wrong.
And believe me, that little girl is a wreck. That little girl, without being disciplined at 2 years old, she is a wreck.
Yeah.
She threatened her mother. She is a wreck. Her mother's not even safe in her house. Based on that 2-year-old girl threw the plate down and said, I don't want no chicken nugget. Now, it's just the grace of God with me.
Well, see, let me say this before we say this. We didn't have that problem because we established it at the womb. Let's call it for what it is. We didn't have that problem.
But we want to show you at 2 what she did. At 2, she threw the plate down, and she is.
But I'll take it a step further. That means something happened before that. You don't just bust out of the gate automatic.
Right, and then the little girl, when she learned how to fully talk, she said, I don't want to go to church. And she said, well, she don't want to go to church in my house.
Yeah.
Eating my food.
But listen what I'm saying. We ain't got to do all the dramatics. Let's get right to the chase. If you see the sign of these things, you stop it immediately and don't allow that seed to grow. Because it will grow.
But it's another thing too. It's so many stories. But it's the fact that when you remember when you was a little girl. I remember this when I was a little girl because my grandmother told me this, not my mother. My grandmother said, grown folks talking.
Yeah.
You get out of grown folks conversation. But you got kids standing around giving their opinion while grown folks talking.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you in the car? Are we all talking together or what? Are we all the same age?
Well, I had that with my mother. I was a little kid once. She was on the phone, and I was saying, Mama, she said, don't you see I'm on the phone? That was the end of that.
But everybody talking.
But you got parents yelling at the kid, I'm on the phone. Don't you say, wait a minute, I'll be with you in a minute. And then that seed grows. And nothing just happens.
And you think you got problems now. This ain't nothing compared to when they go to a...
It'll go on and other stuff,
Yeah.
and you be physically fighting, getting cussed out. And I know kids who physically fight their parent. So don't you think for a moment that can't happen to you. If you don't pull that seed now, I don't care if it begins at 1, 2, 3.5, that seed is going to grow.
Yeah.
That's the process of sowing and reaping in any area of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're going to be crying when they're 16, what should I do? You got a problem.
Because the thing about this, every kid knows their strength. When you allow one thing to happen, then that strength grows like a monster. If I got away with this, then I can get away with this.
Let me throw this to you. As a child, your child should always know you the parent. We are not peers. My oldest child will be 38 years old. We still not peers. We will never be peers. I love my kids, like hanging out with them sometimes. But we ain't peers. See, you got a lot of, well, that's a whole nother method. You trying to be peers with your kids. And you started young. That's mistake number 1.
I have a baby, my child got a baby, we got babies together.
Well, you know. So if you don't do something, you sowing that seed and you're going to reap it.
Yeah. Now to solve the man
Now,
problem.
this was, once again, like I say, with not a whole lot of information. Hopefully, if you're in church, get some counseling. This DCFS stuff, I don't really know how that goes. Obviously, there might be some counseling dealt with that. That's a bad thing for that to happen. But to avoid all of that, do what we're saying first, and then you don't be put in that type of position. That's very important.
And do not let the peer pressure of 2020 measure you and tell you that you are a not good parent based on what you believe in. Because 2020, what is it, 2 times, how you say it?
2020.
2020 parents are so liberal. Like, they technology parents. Whereas we like entertaining the kids to make sure the kids do not bother me while I'm bothering everybody else. In other words, I give you something to entertain you so you won't bother me while I'm cooking or whatever.
But see, that's half the problem right there. Then. If you're not willing to count the cost, don't be a parent. Raising kids this ain't Barbie and Ken. I was telling somebody just yesterday, a man who has a kid, and he was saying how something it is, and he was saying the expense, and I told him, let me tell you something. The money is something, but it's not just that. The stability begins here. Because there are a lot of folks with a lot of money don't want to be bothered with no kids. So it ain't the money. People be thinking that, oh, kids are super expensive. That's too. It's here. And you saying that people want to entertain because they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to do what they're supposed to do.
And that's
you are guiding another life. That's the job of a parent, to guide that life. And if you ain't ready to do that, don't be a parent. Now let's move to the next question. We ain't got to go through no dramatics. Let's tell it like it is.